What's going on, everybody? Paul here, coming at you with another ICO review. Today we're going to be taking a look at a project that I'm particularly excited about, something that I've personally sought after for a while now that seeks to revolutionize a few key aspects of our world. But first, as you may know, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice, and if you want financial advice, well, don't come to me. This is a YouTube video, same platform where people post those memes or memes. This is only 1 degree of separation from the memes, guys. Does that sound like financial advice to you? Alright, now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at today's project, Mainframe. Mainframe seeks to, as you can see here, serve as the primary communications layer for Web3. Web3 is the shorthand name for the emerging packet of services that surround the Ethereum network. This project is in the same vein as projects like Substratum or Mysterium that seek to decentralize and encrypt various aspects of communication over the internet. They seek to obfuscate data to enhance user privacy while simultaneously upgrading the overall user experience, making security and anonymity the new norm. That's awesome. And this here, right here, is one of the most reassuring things I saw from the Mainframe project and speaks volumes about it despite it being a paragraph. Let's go ahead and read it together. We have had the privilege to work closely with the Ethereum Foundation, especially their Swarm PSS teams. From that collaboration, our team was invited to present our hard work at DevCon 3, the premier developer conference for the Ethereum ecosystem. We shared some of our technology and research on peer-to-peer messaging, including progress on the Onyx messaging client. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Though our technology is still in early development, many from the audience were requesting to have access as soon as possible. So, not only is the Ethereum development community incredibly excited about Mainframe's first application, Onyx, but they see a potentially bright future ahead for the Mainframe platform as an encrypted standard for the Ethereum network as a whole. After all, decentralized encrypted communication is in such high demand because who can be sure their data isn't being siphoned off by some third party whenever a third party is involved? There's just no way to really know. This becomes increasingly critical for companies and individuals with highly sensitive data, as we'll see here momentarily. But before we go on, the enthusiasm from the crowd was captured at DevCon 3, so before I winbox a whole description about what this project's about, let's just take a look from the horse's mouth.
So this public key is used to encrypt all the messages that are sent to this user. So if we copy Carl's public key here, we can send him a contact request. Now what's happened here is I don't know where Carl is on the network. So I've sent a broadcast out over the network with a payload that can only be decrypted by Carl, containing my public key, my Swarm address, and my profile so he can see who's contacting him. But right now I don't know anything about him, but if he accepts the contact request, his client will reciprocate this handshake and we can start chatting. So what you've just seen here is the decentralized messaging hello world.
Hello world indeed! So the Onyx messaging app on the Mainframe network is something I would personally use as a tool today if it was available. A lot of apps in this space come with unique features that are a little bit clunky and kind of technical due to the early development, but that was just sleek and easy to use, especially for people who are familiar with cryptocurrency. Let's go ahead and unpack the rest of this section to find out exactly how in the world the Mainframe team was able to produce such a seamless and nice looking product in the early stages of development even before their ICO. And the proof is in the pudding. Here it is, the Swarm PSS team. Turns out they've worked hand in hand with these guys. I've heard a little bit about the Swarm team in passing and knew they were kind of an elite unit of the Ethereum coding team that works on specific projects for Ethereum. Yeah, I know, not the most technical understanding. So I did my due diligence and did my research, and it turns out that the Swarm team, they're doing a lot more than just working on Ethereum. They're actually working on a whole slew of services known as we saw, Web3, which is completely beyond just sending cryptocurrency. It's called the Holy Trinity. This is taken from an article written by Alyssa Hertig way back in 2016, and you can see here the Swarm CEO or head guy, Victor Tron. No relation at all to Tron or the project, just happens to be his last name. Anyway, the Holy Trinity consists of Ethereum as a payment network, Swarm as a decentralized data storage and file system, and a messaging system called Whisper. Now, like I said, this is back in 2016, so I'm not sure that over the last 18 months, if Whisper has grown into Mainframe or if the two are just closely intertwined or something like that. Either way, check out the rest of the video that we saw earlier, linked below in the description, to hear from the Mainframe developers more about how they're working with the Swarm team's decentralized data storage and file system and how it interacts with the Mainframe messaging network. As for the Swarm team themselves, you can go ahead and check them out here at swarm-gateways.net and read up on their extensive goals and mission statement that they have put forward. You devour a whale one bite at a time, and it seems Swarm's been taking tiny bites since 2016. Web3 is well on its way, and these guys are definitely leading the forefront of the charge for its development, at least in respect to the Ethereum network's functionality. Once this group is finished up with development and fully releases their bundle of services, the traditional World Wide Web will assumingly just slowly fade out of existence in favor of this new, technologically advanced alternative. After all, I've recently heard that, yet had a hard time corroborating, I am not a networker, disclaimer, that some of the earliest forms of email included gateways for payments. Payments in email. That's forward thinking. Now, of course, that technology did not exist at the time and would result in a 502 processing error, but it's really exciting to think that we're finally fleshing out the full vision of the early days of the internet. We are living through history, folks! Now, the important takeaway from this is that the Mainframe network is not just a standalone project that's making major waves in a sea of other activity. Rather, it's a small yet incredibly important ship that is hitched to the incredibly large and successful tanker of the Ethereum ecosystem, which allows that little tiny ship to grow in its comforting wake. This puts Mainframe as a sort of golden child in the Ethereum world, not fated by any means for unbridled success, but rather better supported and in a better position than many other projects that seek to have similar aims. Alright, the remainder of the website just takes a look at the Onyx application. That's a word I had to fish out of my lexicon. Anyway, takes a look at the Onyx application, awesome, and offers a few publications from the team. So far, Mainframe is looking like a real winner, well put together and great connections. Let's go ahead and take a look at the white paper. Now, the white paper does a fantastic job embellishing the value proposition and explaining some of the mechanisms that will drive the overall Mainframe system. Of course, some points of value: data privacy, full end-to-end encryption, surveillance resistance, node relationships are hidden so no one knows who you're talking to, and censorship resistance. Hidden node relationships prevent communications jamming. That's super important. Like Lehman Baird said from Hashgraph, if you can take down just 5 or 6 nodes in a huge network and cripple the network, that's a flaw in the network on a fundamental level, so gotta fix that. Of course, after Commander Mao and Stalin's spectacular failures were yet again reminded that human beings run on incentives, a glaringly obvious fact missed by historical leaders and college freshmen alike, but the reality not lost on the astute Mainframe team. Individuals are incentivized using Mainframe's MFT tokens to provide services such as packet routing, storage and retrieval, file storage, and other data services on the Mainframe network. This is explored in more detail a little bit further down in the white paper. The next section set the stage for the Mainframe value proposition, exploring the newly emerging token economy and discussing the existing internet infrastructure and its shortcomings, the perhaps largest of which is this internet protocol suite that comes with using the current internet. Each of these layers contain a unique set of problems that really must be addressed in tandem rather than individually, since messing with one thing may cause problems for the next layer for the internet protocol suite. Let's go ahead and run down the list and see what problems are presented. Addressing. This is problematic because of the centralized nature of IP. Content and communication is fundamentally censorable because of the centralized setup. Next, you have domain name resolution. I actually didn't know that a California nonprofit known as ICANN, or ICON, I-C-A-N-N, essentially controls the entirety of the internet's domain name system. And of course, that relates to certificate authorities down here. Everyone in cryptocurrency, perhaps, may or may not, I don't know, remembers EtherDelta? They had a DNS spoof, and that was a headache for so many people. You just log into EtherDelta, everything looked fine, poof, things are gone. Turns out, somebody spoofed the domain name. Mail protocols. These are centralized and often unencrypted. Think Gmail. Group communication. These are, of course, centralized as well, just like you have with any group chat or email. Hosted email, this is a good solution. Nonetheless, a third party has to host it, so even if you trust the third party, it's still a point of failure and is technically centralized, and realistically, very, very, very few people even use hosted email. Most of the time, they just use Gmail or Proton Mail, which is a good step up, but it's not perfect. And of course, you have chat. We all know things like Slack and Discord, they're centralized, you gotta go through their servers, so it's kind of just something you gotta deal with. We don't like to think that they're taking our data and recycling it or selling it or just putting it in a silo, but who hasn't got a call from an unknown number on their cell phone? How did they get your phone number? Yeah, so somehow your data's getting out there. But this is what Mainframe seeks to solve. Their solution. Tokenize everything. They want to tokenize behaviors and services within the Ethereum ecosystem by providing a platform on which users can communicate using a peer-to-peer network in which they can ensure the security and privacy of their data using incentives, as we explored. A large section of the white paper offers fantastic explanations and visual aids as to how this proposed system will work and reasonably how it's already functioning given the prototype we saw in the earlier video. One of my favorite aspects of this system is the rating system, which we can see here. It's an ingenious solution. Essentially, users are given a rating which is derived from their performance in tasks they've agreed to accomplish. If a user regularly finishes tasks in a reliable format, such as retrieving stored data and routing user traffic, then the user score becomes higher. This in turn allows the reliable member of the community to charge a small premium for the high quality of services that they render. It's a market-driven ecosystem in which the highest quality of service for the lowest cost available is reliably available for the consumer. This is a huge step up. If you want to know why, go watch PewDiePie's video from March 15th. Poor Felix, he's still waiting for his internet upgrade 7 months later. Look, this is a guy who's trying to improve an aspect that's very critical to his livelihood, and it's not like he can't afford it. After all, making an open market of internet services available for everyone not only just makes sense, but it's critical to optimizing the flow of information all over the world. And, of course, Felix is already using it. Here he is, bottom right-hand side. Looks like everyone's favorite YouTube star PewDiePie is already involved in Mainframe. Just kidding, just kidding. This is just a random Felix, not the Felix, but nonetheless, it shows that it's in demand, gonna be used. The following section expands on the use case for MFT tokens, which include things like dark routing for ensured anonymity, text search that allows for fast data retrieval, activity signaling, and bot marketplaces. And the white paper includes with a bunch of references and sources for the material mentioned inside the paper. Overall, a strong white paper, in my opinion. We'll go ahead and wrap it up by taking a quick look over at the development team. And in my opinion, at this point, when I see a project like this, working very closely with a highly successful protocol like Ethereum, developing code right next to the Swarm team for the ecosystem, and just releasing videos about their prototype that's working very well at developer conferences, I really don't think a quick look at the team will embellish their credulity any more than they already have from their own hard work. Nonetheless, here are the top guys behind it. We'll start with Mick, well, Tagan or Hagen, I'm guessing. Watch, it's going to be a third option. Either way. Here he is, real dude, doing real work in the real economy. So, unique pictures, we saw him on video earlier, so we know he's a real dude, and he's got 15k followers. Anyway, like I said, going through each individual, it could take me all day, and I could do that. In the end, it comes down to doing your own research and surmising for yourself whether or not you think this is a value proposition that's reasonably achievable by the team that's been assembled before you. It's completely subjective as well. I see a lot of ICO reviews that have spreadsheets, for example, and look, I'm not knocking that style. If it works for you, to each their own. Who am I to tell you, oh, it's working for you? Well, try my way instead. No, if it works for you, you do you. However, I want to stress how useless they can be and maybe even harmful if you're just watching someone do a spreadsheet and not making your own. Everyone has their own risk tolerance, project preferences, and points of analysis that they want to see hammered home and learn from. It's really a highly personal process. Here's an example. I was talking to a guy just the other day. He let me in on an ICO that's long past that was a wild ride. The Mycelium team, at one time, biggest Bitcoin wallet in the world. Think about that. It's like the Mount Gox of wallets. And I mean everything that entails. Alexander Kuzmin decided to kick off an ICO called Mass Network. Sort of a small project nonetheless, well-designed, slick site, great devs from the Mycelium team and beyond, biggest Bitcoin wallet in the world backing it. How could it fail? Well, it could fail if it was a scam, which it was. They ran with the money. Not just this ICO, but a few others. You can actually check out the Mycelium site and still see there's an ICO up for some restaurant-based ICO. Check it out at your own risk because these dudes are a little shady. He was able to receive a reply from one of the advisors that he contacted when he was in a bit of disarray. The advisor said, man, look, I really don't know what to tell you, but I'm not involved with this project. Guess what this investor does now? That every single time he contacts the advisors to make sure. My point, look, you do you, but you bring a unique perspective to the table that no one else can emulate for you. Use this video as a tool to help you make your own decisions, but don't base your decisions solely off of my own or anybody else's, for that matter, information. I mean, the name of the game is DYOR, do your own research. It always wins in the end and can really help you from getting too emotionally attached to a project too quickly, and can serve as an excellent learning tool and guidepost for your own development as an investor. So with that said, I think that Mainframe is a solid project worth looking into further. Definitely deserves a deeper look. It's a strong team that's well supported by the second largest crypto project in the world, and they're seeking to integrate with what could very well be the brand new internet, Web 3. But that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much as always. My name is Paul. Check us out on everything. We have Twitter, DTube, Steemit. We got all kinds of stuff below in the description. Go check us out. If you want anything reviewed in particular, or if you have questions, comments, feedback, concerns, you got a nice recipe you want to share, check us out in the comments. We want to hear from you. Let me know what you want to see. I consider Cryptide as much yours as it is mine. I mean, after all, we're all in this together, trying to learn a little more and sharpen iron on iron. So, like I said, thanks so much. Talk to you guys next time.